So we're going to talk a little bit about irrigation maintenance and leak detection. Kevin said that in here there's a bit on how to read your meter and look to see if there's a leak. I'm also going to tell you how to do that. So once a year, I like to check my water meter to make sure that I don't have any leaks. I found 3 major leaks. I've been in my house 23 years, and I found 3 really big leaks in that time. The EPA says that 1 in 10 homes is wasting 90 gallons of water per day. I know it's not you guys, you're the good guys, you're here in the class learning. I know it's none of you, but it's a really good thing to check because you might even have just a minor leak. So what you do is make sure all the water is turned off in the house and outside. There's no irrigation on, there's nobody taking a shower, that kind of thing. I usually put on some gloves, grab a long-handled screwdriver, gloves because there's icky things in there, the screwdriver so that you can kind of pry up that concrete top. This is my water meter. You should all know where your water meter is too. They're pretty easy to find. There's a little lid that you can flip up and you'll probably see a dial something like this. Usually, there's always going to be some kind of a needle. There's some numbers that the water district uses or water retailer uses to bill you, but you don't need to know that. And there's usually some kind of a little flow indicator, a little triangle, okay? Not always, but almost always there's a flow indicator on there. So if all the water is off, what should that flow indicator be doing? Nothing. It should be very, very still. Now, if you don't have a flow indicator, you can look at where the needle is, walk away for 5 to 15 minutes, and it should be in the same place. It should be in exactly the same place. And in that case, you know for certain you don't have any leaks in the main line to your house, don't have any leaks in your, well, you still could have some irrigation leaks, right? Because once you turned on a zone, you could find an irrigation leak. But this says that you have no leaks in the house, you have no leaks in the main line going to your valves and to your house. You're pretty good, okay? So I like to do that once a year. I also like you to think about possibly switching out your irrigation controller to there's smart controllers, and what they do is they adjust the water to the needs based on the weather, or we call them weather-based controllers, okay? So they're a little bit smarter. Instead of you adjusting them every month, which would be ideal, it'll adjust it much more regularly. So, and the water district will give you a rebate if you have a controller, an old controller, and you change it out for a smart controller or a weather-based controller. But there is also a really big movement to these controllers that give you alerts on your smartphone. So you can program your controller on your smartphone. You can be away on vacation and you can see kind of what's going on. So what will happen is your controller will kind of learn how much water your system uses and will alert you when one of your zones is using too much water, okay? So you could get an alert saying, hey, this zone is starting to use a lot of water. You might have a leak. I also had a client, one of the wires on their valve, one of the wires on their valve came off, meaning that that zone, that irrigation zone wasn't going to turn on, and we had just planted a whole bunch of plants in that area. So if he hadn't gotten an alert, all those plants would have died. So there are some really good things happening with these irrigation controllers that you might want to think about, okay? And then you don't have to get your water bill and see, oh my God, it's so high. Okay. There's also something called a flow sensor. And again, this is what the irrigation controller uses to know how much water each zone is using. This is getting a little technical, but these used to be very expensive. They're very, very cheap now. So I really encourage people to get one of these. And again, the water district will rebate you for the cost of that. There's also rain sensors This will be good because you won't be irrigating when it's raining, like my neighbor does. Just kills me. It's pouring rain, and their irrigation system is on. So a rain sensor is a really good thing to have on your irrigation system. Okay, leak detection. This is very important, and I really recommend that if you haven't turned on your irrigation system yet, this is a really good time to do some leak detection for your irrigation system. So what this entails is you turn on each valve. So I'm saying valve and zone, and you know that each valve controls the irrigation to a certain piece of your property. If you have already mapped that out onto a plan, that would be ideal. So you knew where you could do that while you're checking your irrigation. So what I do is I go out, I turn on each zone. If I have spray irrigation, it's obvious when there is some kind of a problem, right? Usually you'll have some kind of a geyser coming up in the middle of your yard. A lot of times I run in the morning and I'm always talking to people's Nest doorbell ringer saying, hi, I'm your neighbor. You have a geyser going in your lawn. You might want to talk to your irrigation people. Because a lot of times our irrigation systems go on early in the morning when we're not awake and we don't see it. And early in the morning is the best time to irrigate. So anyways, turn on each zone. If it's spray, it's usually very obvious. You're going to want to look for big spurts. You're going to want to look for maybe spray that's going onto the sidewalk or onto the driveway. Sometimes you can turn that head so it's going more onto the property. You're going to look for any valve or any spray head that doesn't pop up, so it's not actually watering the plants that you may want. So really go around and kind of take a quick look. And again, if you had a plan and you could mark where the spray heads were, mark what zone it was, that would be really great for the future. So I go through that. Now, if you have drip, it becomes a little bit more difficult, right? So for drip, same thing, turn on a zone, wait a few minutes while the drip line kind of fills up, and then I really use my ears because you can hear a leak. So you'll hear the line kind of fill up, and you're going to want to walk slowly through that zone. And look, sometimes you'll see a little spurt that'll come up, or sometimes you'll just hear a leak. And you might have to move the mulch aside and actually look and find where that leak is. Does everybody understand how to do that? It's pretty easy to do. If you do have a leak in drip, I recommend using drip line like this. So in this case, let me go through that. We used to do drip emitters where the emitters were punched into the line, right? Everybody knows that. So now more and more we're using inline emitters, which means the emitter is actually inside the pipe. This is great because it means the emitter can't pop off and cause a leak, and they're just a lot better emitters. And they're spaced very regularly so that it waters your whole property. So if you have a leak, either in this or in this, all you need to do is kind of cut out the leak and use one of these little inline T's to then join back the two pieces of pipe, right? And one trick for this is I usually get a thermos of hot water and I dip the end in for, say, 10 to 20 seconds. It makes it so much easier to slide that tubing into there, okay? Any questions on that, on looking for leaks? Yes?
You can really see that inline emitter.
Sure, let me pass it around. Mm-hmm. It does. Sorry, camera guy. Here, I'll pass that to you. You guys should sit more closely. Then I wouldn't have to come down here. Okay. All right, yeah, but you can see that there actually is an emitter inside, and you can kind of look through it, and you can actually see the emitter as well. Any other questions about leak detection? Anybody got any big leaks in their yard? I know I have one. I've got to fix. Drip is pretty easy to fix. PVC pipe's a little harder, but you can see how easy the drip line is. It's very, very easy to fix. Okay. There's also some irrigation maintenance that you should do, and this is best done in the spring before you start up your system. Again, I really need to bring a valve with a filter. So here, this is a drip valve. You can see there's a little filter on the side. It's usually a Y filter. Next time I'm going to definitely bring one. You can unscrew this and pull it out and kind of check the filter. Usually they're quite clean, but sometimes they'll get a little bit of algae on them depending on the quality of your water. Sometimes they'll have a little bit of debris in there. So you just have to kind of rinse that filter off. It's just a nice thing. It takes like 5 minutes to just open those up, check them, rinse them out if they need that. Then the other thing I like to do is open the flush valve. So every drip system at the end of the line should have some kind of a flush valve. It could be something like this, where it's just an end cap, right? Okay, so that could be one type of flush valve. I prefer something like this, where it's a little quarter turn. So you turn it, and then it closes, and then you open it. So I go each to one zone, and I open the flush valve. Hopefully it's in a little valve box filled with gravel. Makes it very easy to find. And then turn on the turn on the valve for, I don't know, 5 minutes. And all you're doing is you're just letting some of the water run through the line. And because even though you have a filter on your drip system, there's still going to be some little particles that get in there. So that just ensures that you're really kind of cleaning and flushing out the line. Any questions on that? All right, pretty easy. All right, now let's get to gardening. So spring task, it is good to keep an eye on your water bill. I know a lot of you are from Palo Alto. What other cities are people from?
Belmont. Fremont.
Fremont, East Palo Alto?
Belmont.
Belmont. Any place else? What's that? Hillsborough. Any place else? Okay, great. So, yes, ma'am.
Keeping an eye on your water bill. And we have an enormous case, our water bill went up to like $400. And there were no leaks that we knew of. And then what we found out was that we left the hose attached to a faucet, and the faucet was leaking, but we couldn't hear or see it because it dripped from all along the hose. You see?
Oh,
It just sort of escaped without being able to see it or hear it.
wow.
I know.
I hate that.
That water bill is very important.
Yeah, taking a look at your water valve. And see, that case, a flow sensor on your irrigation system would not even catch that because it was on the hose bib. Yeah, we have to be very vigilant. And, you know, we all get one gimme, you know? I mean, that was yours, okay? It'll never happen again, right? I had mine. I had a huge leak where literally I was, in the middle of the winter, I was ankle deep in water in my backyard because there was a leak that I didn't know about. So that was my gimme, and now I'm very vigilant about it. So yeah, it's really good. We don't want to waste. Oh, okay, sir?
Sorry, related to that, it just occurred to me, and I don't want to take a tangent. the gas and electricity utilities have smart meters. Is the water, moving towards a smart meter?
Yes, I mean, I don't know where Palo Alto is on that, but I do know of, there is one, oh gosh, I can't, Hillsborough does? There's another one, I don't know if it's in Millbrae or where, I have to think about where it's at, but there's another one, and they will actually call you and tell you that your water, you have a leak. Like the next day, they'll call you. So I think we're getting there. She had a question.
Well, one of the biggest problems we have is squirrels
Yes.
chewing on the emitters.
Right. I've never seen that, but one of my clients did show me. He's like, look, this is where. So here's my suggestion for that. I do leave water out for them. I do, you do too. Darn them. Oh, they're so miserable. They take all our fruit and then they chew on our water lines. Yeah, you're just gonna have to be really vigilant. get some hawks, get some hawks. That does keep them down. There was another question. Yes.
Sherri?
Oh, yeah.
I was just as a reminder, do you mind repeating so that everyone can
I'm
hear?
sorry.
And
Your
then-
question was, thank you, Kevin. Her question was, they have squirrels that chew on her lines. What can she do about it? I said, leave water out for them. She said she already does. That's about the best that I can come up with. You can't put, any kind of mesh over all your irrigation. Yeah, you can't do that. He had a question back
And then I
there.
was just going to follow up really quickly with the AMI. So regionally, a lot of retailers are either doing pilots or either implementing or fully implemented those advanced meters that will, again, give you those leak notifications. Here in Palo Alto, we've been doing a pilot program. In the next few years, we'll be looking at implementing here throughout the city. But again, depending on your jurisdiction, you can kind of check. They might be doing pilots or rolling out in some near future some of those advanced meters. Again, with that, it would actually be able to set a threshold and give you a notification if there's a constant flow or something out of the norm, so then you could take action right then and there.
And sir, you had a question too.
You just answered it.
Oh, great.
Our meter has a transmitter unit on it,
Great.
so I think it might be part of that.
Are you in Palo Alto? Okay, so he's part of the pilot, and he's in Palo Alto, and he says his meter has a transmitter on it. So,
I get no warning if there's
not yet, but you will. So monthly, if you could read your water bill, if you get it monthly, or most of us get a water bill every 2 months, but still, it's good to kind of look at that. I look at every water bill now because I had a leak like 20 years ago, and I'm still recovering from that. So that's really good. Turn on and walk each zone. If you could do it monthly, that'd be great, but if you could at least do it once in the spring, check for leaks once in the spring, I would be very, very happy. If you can do it monthly, great, but that's not required. And then make sure you do, if you don't have one of the smart controllers, do reduce your watering. Typically, even now, we're getting into the higher months, higher water use months, but even June isn't as high as what we need in, say, July and August. Usually in September, when we're starting to get, the days are a lot shorter, you can think of at the equinoxes is a good time to maybe turn your meter down by 50% if you can do that. Okay, great. Thanks you, Kevin. All right. Anything else on leak detection? Well, I'm going to tell you about something really fun. So, the Santa Clara County Water District will actually do a free review of your irrigation system. So you can call them for an outdoor survey, and they will come and review your irrigation system. I don't know, Kevin, do they like do a little map of your system? Or I think they just do it zone by zone.
Yeah, they go out, there's a landscape individual, they'll go and run your irrigation, kind of flag if there's any issues. Also, they'll be able to identify if there's any rebates and programs that you're qualified for. So that will actually count as your pre-inspection. So again, they are going to confirm if you have a controller, how many zones, so what level of a rebate you're qualified for. And they're going to also measure your landscape. So if you're interested in doing the landscape conversion, they'll be able to capture that and then give you some information on that as well.
It's a terrific program. And again, this is the perfect time to have them come out. And I know there's, they had like a waiting period for a while, but now they have lots of time. I don't think anybody has San Jose Water, but San Jose Water Company does their own water inspection. So you can go on their website, valleywater.org, and look for that, or you can call them to get that survey.